We started. Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Peel. We are starting a beautiful shiur here. Second session. We are starting with the famous rabbi and psychologist, Rabbi Ohad Maon, who last week everybody was inspired by his beautiful words of wisdom to bring Tanya into practicality. Now everybody says Chassidus is beautiful and everything, but how do I take this to my life? How do I make it a part of myself? So we are going to explain this today to you, and you will enjoy Chassidus, you will connect with Chassidus, and you will be happy in everything you do. L'chaim.
Amen. Pass the fruit. Good evening, everyone. Those who are gathered here and everyone who is watching it and will be watching it later, God willing. This shiur is dedicated for Rabbi Yitzchak Mordechai ben Avraham Abuxis by his son. And we are all hoping that the Neshama and Shammai will derive a lot of nachas out of this shiur. Last week we were discussing the very beginning of the Tanya, in which it says that the person gets an oath before his Neshama is sent down to this world, mashbi'im oto, and the point is that the person has both hashba'ah, oath, and hasba'ah. He's saturated with all the koichas he needs, and all the abilities and all the traits that he requires for his own personal service.
Guys, what do I say?
To Hashem.
How you say you can be quiet if you want. Otherwise you have to go into it.
And the point really is that when the neshama comes to this world, it has a very particular makeup. That makeup is unique to that individual, men or women alike, and everybody is different, and everyone has a particular and unique service in this world. As it says in the Gemara, Ba'as ha'odom yochid, human being was created single. Every mold was put away. Once the person was created, man or woman, doesn't matter, that mold was put away. Therefore it is, it says in Lashon Yachid, in a singular form, that everyone, no matter who they are, receive their special koichas, the special abundance of koichas, of abilities, traits, and capabilities to do what they're supposed to do, and they also are given an oath that they should be what? And then you come to the point, it says here, for one of the reasons that, one of the questions Alter Rebbe raises shortly after this, it says like that, Mashbin oisoy, the person gets through an oath, you should be a tzaddik, a righteous person, and don't be a rasha, a wicked person. So what's the big deal? If you're a tzaddik, why do you have to say, don't be a rasha? You already said you're supposed to be a tzaddik. Why is there a repetition of the positive, be a tzaddik, and the negative, don't be a rasha? And what is the difference? What is a tzaddik? And this is very important. It's a very important concept in everyone's life. A tzaddik means that that's the person who connects the godliness into this world. Tzaddik yesod oilam. That means, and we're not just talking about tzaddikim as they are, great people who are not, and we're not similar to us because they're fully righteous and don't have their war they have, that we have with Yetzer Hara. So what is a tzaddik? A tzaddik, in simple words, which are not that simple, is the person who connects the world and connects the godliness to this world. In other words, the conclusion of last week's session on the general idea of Chassidus is self-awareness. If you're aware of yourself, you're not going to scream, you're going to yell, and you're not going to behave in a way which is not suitable for a person who's respectable and respects themselves and the others. So that tzaddik is the idea of connecting the world to godliness and creating a situation where godliness affects everything and changes everything to the better. That's the meaning of it. That's what a tzaddik is. It is true that tzaddikim gdolim basically make sure that the flow comes to this world so the world will exist. You and I will have the sustenance to go on and have a sense of godliness, even if a faint one, but we will have a sense due to them. But here the idea is to connect godliness to the world. In other words, I will give you an example. Last Shabbos, I was davening in a particular place, and my little cousin showed up and said, "Oh, yeah, do you have anywhere to go and eat?" I didn't have anything in particular, and this nice girl, my cousin, said, "Go ask Ima if Ima agrees," and they took me home, and my cousin was a wonderful family, and during the meal, the twins there had an argument who's going to sit next to Tati. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yep. If you ask Leah Imenu how was it to graze Shimon and Levi, it wasn't simple. But if you look at it, what did the girl do? She gave up on her seat, so the twin who lost the bet would lost sort of the whatever trick that Tati played, that they would discern between themselves, and one said here and one said there. This girl went and changed the world again for the better by diffusing the feud and giving up on her seat. It sounds mundane. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it isn't mundane. This is it. That's the idea of a tzaddik. We all have that. We all have the koiches because of the tzaddik to connect godliness into the world. This is a very esoteric, simplified idea maybe, but that's the basic idea. Now, if we talk about an actual tzaddik, every movement and every moment and every second, they do that on a large scale. But our scale, the little guy scale, the little lady scale, is really where it's at. Because we are here. A tzaddik a lot of times finds themselves in high, lofty world. But we are here, let's say someone finds someone else's belonging, non-Jew or a Jew alike, you spare no effort to return them.
Not necessarily.
Why? Because that's how you connect godliness to this world. And that's the pace. The most important thing is that you become aware. That's the positive side. The positive side of, it's hot in New York. It's for the positive side of the equation. Be a tzaddik, and that's why it is said in a positive wording. The idea is be a tzaddik is a constant, and you always have to be a tzaddik. You have to be actively connecting the world to godliness by the positive actions. Of course, study of Torah, saying Tehillim, all these things are the background for all this. This is where the connectiveness is, while you are aware that you use your time right. This is another message that is given here. The usage of time correctly is an important thing in everyday's life and everybody's life. In a Jewish person's life, all the more so. Because if you have a chance to say Tehillim, if you have a chance to learn, and we will dedicate this also to the health, the immediate recovery, the speedy recovery of Rabbi Shvei, who is recovering in hospital, and God willing, he will fully recover and come out of it.
He's already out of the hospital. He's already out of the hospital.
He's already out of the hospital. Baruch Hashem, he should be well, never come back there, and watch the coming of Mashiach, happy and healthy. The point is, time usage is part of a tzaddik's strength. He never wastes time, and it's an avoid. It takes time to reach, and a lot of concentration. Yetzer hara is an active warrior. He never gives up. He tries, the main thing he tries to steal from us is time. They say time is the greatest healer. Ladies and gentlemen, it could also be the greatest killer. Therefore, time is very, very important, and it's of the essence to a Jewish and observant Jewish person's life. Ask any mother of 8 or 9 how time is essential. And therefore, when a person is self-aware and has his mind set on doing the connection between Elokus, godliness, and this world, then time isn't being wasted. And it says in the Gemara, the Navi Oimed Be'eser, Misma Be'alachatesre. The Navi, in that case Yirmiyahu, is standing on 10, in other words, in a certain place that he already had prophesied about, and he's already giving a nevuah, a prophecy on 11. In other words, he's already in the next movement, in the next place. This is part of the tzaddik, and that's a part of the positive side of the equation. Be a tzaddik. One of the things is use your time for goodness, and over the years, one develops the ability to discern what is right and what is wrong, and be always prepared and searching to do good. Doing good is not something that happens to you on the way. The intention here, be a tzaddik, is to follow and search it and be always looking like a radar where you could do something good. That's the tzaddik side of it. Then it says to the person, V'al tehi rosho. What means not to be Rasha? Rasha is an interesting word. If you turn it around, it's shar, gate. If you turn it again around, it's rash, noise. A Rasha, what does he do? He closes the gate of the flow of goodness.
What is a Rasha?
A Rasha is a wicked person. Wicked means that he does not want, not just to improve the world, mainly he's busy with himself. And in that situation, he actually misses the point on on both sides. First, as a tzaddik, you can see that people appreciate him, and when they see him, they want to give him, they want to be blessed by him, they want to bless him, because he brings to the world active goodness, godliness. Whereas the Yarasha, the wicked person, well, it's not exactly the same. People say all kinds of things about them. You know, they disturb the flow of godliness into this world. They prevent... You're not allowed to speak against yourself. The Rasha is the person who deliberately shuts the gate of the goodliness and of the beautiful things, the goodness that could be done and could be given, that he could bring by not doing things, by being busy by this world. Now, Russia doesn't mean that he only goes around and does wicked things. Well, those exist as well. But this is wasting his life and everybody else's life by preventing the goodness from coming down. Now, there's one thing not to do, but there's another thing to prevent goodness. I'm not mentioning names, but in Jerusalem there's a beautiful Sephardi shul, where big one and all this, but there's no mikveh. Because someone secular said, Ma pitom, shouldn't be a mikveh here, and prevented the people from having a mikveh in their shul. It's a very nice big shul and a lot of attendance. And whoever it was prevented from the women of that shul to have a mikveh right next door, and because of that they have to wander elsewhere. That's closing the gate. That's stopping things. But Russia is not mean that he's completely or she's completely unable to return. As it says the Kadosh Baruch Hu near Rosh Hashanah, it says "V'lo tachpoitz b'moisamez ela beshuvo v'chaya." The Kadosh Baruch Hu does not desire that the wicked person or the sinner will die. How contrary, he wishes him or her to come back and live. Life is godliness, chayus. As the Rebbe says, what is life? Movement. That which is alive moves. That which isn't doesn't move. That's one of the things. That's one of the things that the Gemara says. Reshaim are called dead in their lifetime when they're still here on this earth. And why is that? Because they don't bring liveliness. There's no movement in their soul. The movement in the soul is life. Person is excited, and the person happy, as a person crying, whatever it is, there's life, liveliness. Uvacharto b'chaim, as we have this parsha, re'eh, and when you choose life, life is movement, life is growth, life is goodness. And if a Rasha goes the other way, then he's not a living person in the sense that his neshama is sort of dead in that at which it's, because it's completely hidden and, so to speak, unused. Therefore, this statement, Tehi Tzadik V'al Tihi Rasha, is a basis for everyday life. Because when you start thinking, you know, I say when we say here, connect godliness to the world, it sounds very esoteric and far removed from daily life, but it's not. Because when you go on the street and you recognize that you have the strength, as we said before, and you have the oath, and you have the achrayus and the schus at the same time to make the world a better place, and that awareness is what guides you, then you are very busy not doing the wrong things and seeking the right things to do. I mean, a Rasha, you might find it's funny, is the kind of guy who sees an old lady and brings her over across the street, even if she doesn't want to cross it. Did something great. Actually, no. And a lot of us cannot be defined as Rashaim because of lack of awareness. We don't do always the thing we're supposed to do. It cannot be defined as a Rasha. Lack of knowledge and lack of awareness does not exempt the person from their responsibility to fulfill their job in the world according to that which Hashem gave them. We all have a shlichus, we all are emissaries, and we all have a particular shlichus which is tailored on the structure of our neshama, the circumstances that God gave us, and so on and so forth. But beyond that, just going on the street, and let's say that you smell a good smell and make a bracha.
It's open.
You make a bracha because you smell something good. That is part of it. Because, could you open the door for him?
Pasta. It's open.
They say it's open. Okay, man, yeah.
And therefore, that's part of awareness of God in everything. And it's one of the nicest things when you have a good smell. A good smell relaxes the soul. That's why we are smelling in the end of the Shabbos. We take something to smell because the sense of smell is the only part of the smell of the senses which was not affected by the flood. And Eretz Israel by just on the side was not affected either by the flood. The flood contained not just with sulfates in them, and therefore when the person sees that, and that's why the sense of smell is connected directly to Mashiach. For instance, Moirach Vedoin, that the Mashiach will be able to make judgment just by the smell. Therefore, the most important thing to realize here, that this is not just a two-sided statement. Okay, if you know that tzaddik, he didn't make it, don't be a Rasha. No, it's a general idea. Every one of us knows, as the Gemara says, Yadeh Inch Benafsheh. We all know what's going on in our soul. Once I was asked the question, how does a person know that they were saying gossip or not? I said, everybody knows exactly what they intend. You want to trip the person, or you want to forewarn them. You don't need to be told what your intention was. That was the intention was.
What's my talking about you?
Chaim lechaim.
Only when it's talking about Russia.
Therefore, this is very important. Because this is an internal struggle. We're not just talking about things which affect us from the outside. No. This is a result of the internal struggle, as it says, Agoy asher bekirbecho, the non-Jew which is within you. Some people, it's stubbornness. For some people, it's refusing to respect others, especially elderly and parents and so on. And for some people, is thinking money is everything, and it isn't. For some people, it's just plain not doing. Not doing, avoiding, and just rolling their life. Now you can understand that a person doesn't do. He is a form of a Rasha, but not in this full sense of the word, because by avoiding and not doing that which he or she came to this world for, making brachas, learning Torah, teaching the children, doing acts of deeds of kindness, and Avas Yisrael, teaching the non-Jews the seven Noachide mitzvahs. Say, well, what's that got to do with me? I'll go with my nice car here and there. Business, 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 business on Shabbos, business on Yom Tov, business here, business there, business everywhere. It's true, it's America, and there's plentifulness around. But when you do it through the venue of Torah, and you do it correctly, and you are a tzaddik by putting in your transactions the proper behavior. And I tell you a story. I don't know if people here have ever heard of the Torontonian family Reichman. I'm sure they have. They built this beautiful hotel, Waldorf Astoria in Yerushalayim. Big business people. Paul Reichman once was making a very large business transaction in Toronto. And the head of the Toronto Dominion Bank, a very large bank in Canada, came in with all his stuff to sit and to conclude the loan arrangements and guarantees and assets and all this sort of thing.
Pass the oranges.
All these things that banks and business people do between themselves. And they were working on it, hundreds of pages and lines, change this, change that. And all of a sudden, Mr. Reichman says, just a second, Mr. Manager, you have to give me a few minutes. It's mincha time, and me and my aides are going to daven mincha now. And they got up, a minyan, left the room to the next room, and started daven mincha. The banker said, give me the final page. He signed on the dotted line and said, a person who is willing to risk a mammoth deal because of his belief in his God is trustworthy to the point that I don't have to worry about him. And he signed the line. He said to his aides, you fill your section, you fill your section. And when Mr. Reichman came out of Mincha, he said, your belief in God got you one of the best deals any business person ever got out of the Toronto Dominion Bank. We're talking about millions. These are big business people, Shubrim. And therefore, it's very important to understand that's the connect godliness to this world. That's what it means. Oh, I say once I noticed a guy coming by the street, a non-Jewish, and his wallet fell. A child, maybe 7, 8, his wallet, ran after him. And the man said, where'd you take the money? He said, it's not mine. It's going to burn a hole in my pocket. It's going to make me feel that I took something God did not intend for me. Anyways, the non-Jewish man took the wallet, was very grateful, and gave him a tip anyway. Because this is the point. To enlighten the world, you have to have the two sides of it. First, to connect positively. Tehei tzaddik. Be active. Endeavor to be a tzaddik. You are the biggest entrepreneur on the world. You, the little Jew going on the street, a little girl going on the street, a young woman, who, what have you. You are the biggest entrepreneur because you are just not fighting evil. You're pushing it away with light. This is the side of Tehei Tzaddik. But practical issues, day-to-day life, you come home, you see your wife is sweating, upset, what have you, the kids drove her nuts, she drove them nuts, whatever. You tell her immediately, is there anything I could do for you? And you come and look around. If you need to wash the dishes, Mr. Gaon, you wash the dishes. If you need to clean the floor, giant Talmid Chacham, that's what you do. Because Shlom Bais is a main issue I ran into here, not only here. It's one of the rabbis told me you're going to be busy day and night with this issue. But if you are an entrepreneur, like the Rebbe is, you prevent it. The Torah is written in a preventative mode. That's another aspect of Tehet Tzaddik. If you know that certain actions that you're going to take is going to upset your wife, don't do them. If you want a certain action that will make her happy, go ahead and do them. You don't need to be told, you know already. But it's not a criticism, but rather to point out the meaning here, the Alter Rebbe. Again, this is the beginning of the Tanya, and only the beginning of the Tanya, but these are the building blocks, the cornerstones of how to be a well and happy person for yourself and for the others. And therefore, it's very important to be aware of yourself that you do have the koach and the oath. And the more you learn, the more you know how to take the right action and to be the tzaddik, in the sense, as we said before, to bring down the godly light into this world because it's dark. And when it's dark, the light shines even stronger and brighter. And the other side, don't be a Rasha, is one of the most important statements you can ever hear. Because in human relations, anything in human relations starts with arguments when someone feels that they have to stand their ground. Stand their ground or they have to be right. No. And they have to be right, and they have to be always on top, and they have to make sure that their point is said and recognized and what have you. But in reality, the more you avoid and the more you refrain from this, you are not closing the gate. Because when someone feels that the gate in the other person is locked, it creates a sense of frustration, anger, it creates a sense of fear, it creates a sense of being rejected, and then a lot of arguments and issues which are not very good commence. It's a sweat issue. Therefore, when you juxtapose these two words together,
just open your bedroom or whatever.
And you juxtapose the good with the don't do bad, you get to the basics of Torah. The basics of Torah says, Sur Mera, remove yourself from that which isn't good. V'asei toiv. Bakesh shalom v'rodfeu. Seek peace and chase it, so to speak. What's peace? Peace is part of the word shalem, shlemut. When a person finds themselves that they can do this, they stop being argumentative and they're seeking peace. Shlom Bayis means that everyone is tranquil, not just you or her or the kids, but everyone. Strife is what the Rasha has to do. And not in the sense of a wicked person who steals and does other things, but in the sense of missing the point. It says, Yitamu chataim min haaretz velo achotim. Open the door, something?
Yo, just open the other window.
The point really is that this, it says that in the times of Mashiach, the scenes will be finished, will be gone, not the sinners. The people are not bad. They fight with Yetzer Hara. And it says the Gemara, if Paga becha menuva zeh, if this wicked person, Yetzer Hara, runs into you, pull him to Beis HaMidrash, take him to learn Torah, because he doesn't have any chance there to make you do things that you should not. And one of the most important things, which is also, and I see it all the time, and it's really the basics of all ill today in the so-called modern society. Modern is otiot, is oisios midron, downhill. That people are very bad to themselves. They say the words, I like this, I like that. There's nothing wrong with eating ice cream. I never said it's not going to be. I decided to refrain from it because finally I don't take those pills against high sugar, blood sugar, so I don't want to go back there. But if you want to eat ice cream, that's okay. But if you become an ice cream addict, that it's more important than anything else, and addictions is just the word around. I mean, this guy said I'm addicted to this and this and that. I'm addicted to alcohol. I'm addicted to TV, sitcoms, what have you. You're not gonna go anywhere for yourself. It's not the issue of just what you do for society or the whole world, but it's to yourself. The Alti Rosho refers to your own way of life towards yourself. And this is a story I always like to tell. I heard, the story goes like this. The big tzaddik, the Chofetz Chaim, Chabad, tell the guys not to beat me up. The Chofetz Chaim was living in Radin. And by the way, the Rebbe Rashab said of him, he was a Beinoni without the Tanya. Notice, it's the only one who has ever been said about. He was a big believer in Mashiach. Anyways, he had a supporter, a big textile merchant, who traveled to Russia and made a lot of money and sent a check all the time to the Chofetz Chaim. It's not like today, he never got to meet him. One time he had an opportunity, he was not far from Radin, he completed his business and took a guy, a horse and carriage or whatever it was, he took to Radin. Now he got another problem. It's not the era of cell phones and iPhones and smartphones or what have you. He didn't know, questions later. And you ask him in writings for Chaim Pir. Then he said like this, I don't know how the Chofetz Chaim looks. Never seen him. Walks in the main street. Hey, Rabbeinu, just put our video.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. There's other...
I was going to tell that.
And then he walks down this main street of Radin. Where's the Chofetz Chaim? Never seen him. So he asked this guy, that guy. We don't know. Well, the tzaddik, I don't know what he's doing, where he is. Then he suddenly sees a very respectable man, a short person, walks towards him. He's obviously a great person. You can see the aura on him. Says, hey, Rabbi, do you know where the Poisek Kadol, the Gaon, the leader of the generation, Chofetz Chaim is? The Chofetz Chaim said to me, what Gaon, what leader, what Poskanasa Pots? He hears that. You call the Chofetz Chaim a Potz, he gives the Chofetz Chaim a hefty slap on the face and walks away steaming. How could this guy call the Chofetz Chaim a Potz? After a little while, he realizes his anger wears off. He's going around and says, I'm going to find the Chofetz Chaim. Meanwhile, who would know what's going on in the shtetl? The kids. He goes to the kids, say, no, kids, you know where the Chofetz Chaim is? They look at him as a kind of adult, doesn't know where the Chofetz Chaim is. So once you know, at this hour he's learning Gemara in the inner room in the shul. He runs, knocks on the door. The Chofetz Chaim says, Arain, come in. Opens the door, he says, the guy you just slapped a while ago, he faints. The Chofetz Chaim bends over and says his name in his ear. That's returns the neshama. And then the guy say, oh, great Rabbi, the Chofetz Chaim, I apologize for slapping you. I don't know what to do. He says to him, Chofetz Chaim, Shasha, through you I gave myself a hefty slap. And the second thing, I learned the halacha, you cannot say Lashon Hara on your own self as well. And it's a halacha lemaisa in one of his farm. That's the meaning of a Rasha, that he's harming himself or herself just because they're not aware. We tend to think that certain things that we do, and I hear it a lot, you know, people think that if I can't break through, I want to make more money. Then what do you need for? You have 2 cars, 2 businesses, happy wife, happy kids. You're happy. What do you need for? What do you need more? Not going to help you. It's not going to change anything. What you need is growth in ruchnius. You need to be a tzaddik. Bring